Situations will arise, legal-wise, but you gotta be smart about it. Explanations for you guys, I maximize, cause I knew you need legal without it. Meanwhile, I plug you, gave you some pearls. You see, I explain the legal world to you. So when you're ready, you gonna have to call Kmart, and you gonna be alright tonight. If you do, you gonna have to call Kmart, and you gonna be alright tonight. If you do, all client faces. Let me stop. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Markwell Cade with Cade Mark Law, your favorite neighborhood lawyers, back with another 3-Minute Thursday. I've been having a lot of clients coming to me with personal injury cases. So today, we're going to take 3 minutes and talk about personal injury cases. Personal injury. How do I know if I have a case? We're going to find out in 3 minutes. To give you a quick rundown, personal injury cases for lawyers are cases where someone has been injured. Think dog bite. I slipped and fell in a grocery store. Car accident even. All of these are going to fall under the purview of personal injury. But determining whether you have a strong personal injury case is a whole nother matter. Whether you have a strong case depends on several factors, but we're going to go over 3 today. Number 1, how the injury occurred. Number 2, who's at fault for the injury. And number 3, how significant the injuries are. These 3 factors are often going to be the most important factors to assess when you're trying to determine if you have a strong personal injury case. First, we'll talk about how the injury occurred. Usually, the personal injury that occurred must be the fault of the person you're trying to sue. If there's no causation there, oftentimes you're not going to prevail in your case. This is why it's important to assess how the injury occurred. If you were injured doing something else, or you weren't injured as a result of the accident, the car accident, or the dog bite, for example, then you don't really have a case because you can't prove causation. And causation is one of the most important elements for personal injury. Which is a nice segue into the second factor. Who's at fault for the injury? How the injury occurred and who's at fault for it are very much one and the same. If the person who's at fault for it did not cause the injury, causation is a problem again. When you think about a car accident, this is easy to understand. If you caused the car accident, you can't sue the other person for injuring you. You caused the accident. You're at fault. In some instances, determining who's at fault is very much a court issue. Lawyers are going to argue back and forth on this. And in some instances, fault can be nuanced such that multiple things could have caused something. In some jurisdictions, if you're 51% at fault per se for the accident or the injury that occurred, you can't sue. You can't recover. In some states, they will apportion your fault to the damages you're seeking so that if you're 51% at fault, you can only recover 49% of the damages, but you get what we mean here. Just as important as the other 2 factors, how significant the injuries are is also an important consideration to understand. If the injuries aren't that significant, it may not be worth suing, for example. If you only had to go to the emergency room and then pay $20, but you had no other significant injuries, perhaps it's not worth the thousands of dollars that you can spend in litigation. On the other hand, if you had to go to the doctor for substantial injuries and you had to have major surgeries and things like that, you're going to want to recover these damages. And the significance of your injuries is definitely going to come into play. That's all, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today for another 3-Minute Thursday. Ooh, we went over again. We've been on time for the past couple of weeks, so we'll pat ourselves on the back. We tried. This has been Personal Injury, How to Assess Your Case. Once again, I am Markwell Cade with Cade Mark Law, your favorite neighborhood lawyers. protect your brand, grow your business. Stay frosty, my friends. We'll see you next time. We hope this was helpful.